Happening now, the president and CEO of the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce is stepping down. What we know next. Plus, the push to build a new Dollar General store locally is put on hold.
Well, it's a dry start to the afternoon today, but another chance for showers and storms this afternoon. Then more heat is on the way by the end of the week. We'll talk about it next as the news at noon starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now as we start a new week and a new month. I'm Justin Gould. The Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce president and CEO will be leaving his position starting next year. According to a letter sent to the Chamber of Commerce and Manufacturers Association members this morning, Todd Tranum will be transitioning out of his multiple positions within the agencies. Now, the group says his resignation will be effective July 31st, 2021. Until then, the organization will be working to name a successor. Currently, Tranum is the president and CEO of the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce, executive director of the Manufacturers Association of the Southern Tier, president of Dream It, Do It, New York, and president of Chautauqua Benefits Specialists. WNY News Now has reached out to Tranum for comment, but has yet to hear back. The full letter sent to Chamber members this morning is posted at WNYNewsNow.com. Another local business has been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and will close at the end of the month. Schuyler's Kitchen will be closing as a restaurant on Sunday, August 30th. The business says COVID-19 restrictions has changed how they do business, and once outdoor seating is no longer an option for them, they will be unable to make a profit. The restaurant owner went on to say the small size of the building may leave customers ill at ease. They will continue to serve to-go breakfast on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 8 a.m. to noon until August 30th. Chicken barbecues will continue if the numbers support it on Saturdays in August from noon until 3 o'clock. The owners say they will be pursuing a different business in place of the restaurant. New York State's governor says that parents and teachers need to feel comfortable so that schools can successfully open this fall. Now, on Friday, local districts were required to submit the reopening plans to the state, with initial decisions on those plans expected to be announced by leaders this week. However, Governor Andrew Cuomo stressed yesterday that there needs to be a full conversation that answers parents' questions about reopening safety.
If they don't have confidence in the plan, I don't care what the school district says, they're not sending their kids back. Now, there will be some parents who don't have a choice but to send their child back because they don't have alternative child care, etc. But there are going to be many parents who, if they think their child might be subjected to danger, they're just not going to do it. That was the point of this pre-opening period. School district puts in their plan, the parents get to review it, the parents get to ask questions, the parents get to provoke the discussion, the parents then feel comfortable, okay, now you can reopen.
Now, similarly, Cuomo says no one wants to force teachers against their will to work. He highlighted the need for better remote learning and proper COVID-19 testing capacity. He also stressed the need for a fast turnaround times for those results, which has been a problem around the nation. Now, New York has contained the virus recently, even as it surges in other parts of the country. The state recorded 3 new deaths on Saturday and 556 people hospitalized, a decrease of 25 patients from the previous day. Well, the winds yesterday afternoon were no match for Davidson's Family Restaurant's famous sign on Fairmount Avenue, which snapped and fell onto the walkway below. Pictures shared on the restaurant's Facebook page show that the sign snapped at the base and laying on its right side of the middle of the Fairmount Avenue entrance. Now, in the post, the restaurant wrote, "Well, the year 2020 has been an interesting one. We plan on being open Monday using the Jamestown entrance only. Now, according to officials, the restaurant was closed when the sign fell, and thankfully no one was hurt. Winds gusts peaked at 26 miles per hour at the Jamestown airport, while the Lakewood weather station operated by East Lakewood Weather recorded a peak wind gust of 24 miles per hour. Certainly, either way, it was a windy day yesterday afternoon. We thank you so much for joining us here for WNY News Now. Let's check in with the comments and say hello to Dan. Good to see Russ on the broadcast. David, happy Monday to you. Good to see Joseph, Wendy, Erica, and Wallace as well. Hopefully everyone is having a good day and enjoying the beautiful weather outside. Certainly a lot cooler than we've seen in the past weeks. Let's get a check of that now from Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Mr. Hunter, it was a heck of a windy day yesterday. Certainly, I was traveling around parts of the area, and you know when it's windy when you see the trees swaying back and forth. And the beautiful thing is, though, it seems like, aside from the Davidson side, much of the damage, any damage around the area was very limited to, chairs blowing around the lawn.
Yeah, the winds yesterday were not so strong to be, kind of like, damaging wind criteria. But again, it was kind of a breezy day yesterday. This is a live look from the Warren City Bank. The winds have calmed down for today. Mostly sunny with a temperature of 77 there in downtown Warren. And talking about the winds, these were the peak wind gusts throughout the day. Now, the story that went up, I think it went up around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So the winds actually got a little bit stronger through the afternoon at Dunkirk. The peak wind gust was 40 yesterday, and officially at the Jamestown airport we pegged at 35, and of course the winds picked up a little bit through the afternoon. First Defense Doppler radar is dry across the southern tier, but again there's a storm system back to our northwest right here, and this is going to be moving in throughout the afternoon and especially into tomorrow. So it's going to be kind of another spotty afternoon with on again, off again showers. 72 in town, 73 Mayville, 77 Fredonia, 74 Clymer, 79 Erie, 74 in Randolph, and 70 over in Olean. So temperatures a little bit cooler for this time of the year. We're still hanging around 80 for the average high for this time of the year. So 75 to 83, partly to mostly cloudy, partly just a few spotty afternoon showers and storms, much more humid than it has been, so you're going to feel it out there. Southwest wind averaging about 5 to 10. We cool the air down, then we might see a little tiny bit of Isaias. We'll time out what we know next in a few. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you. The construction of a new Dollar General store near Kennedy has been blocked by a court ruling. The state's fourth appellate court ruled last month to deny rezoning a piece of property on Route 62 in the town of Poland, just east of Kennedy. The court revisited a previous decision by the state Supreme Court in Chautauqua County, allowing for construction of the project. Now, the legal process all started after a group of residents there challenged the town zoning board's decision to grant permits for that project. In an appellate decision, the justices wrote that the property failed to prove a claim of unnecessary hardship for the reasonable return of the property that the Broadway Group LLC was going to buy and turn into a Dollar General. Negotiations on a new coronavirus stimulus package are set to continue today between lawmakers and White House officials. Congressional leaders are expected to meet with President Trump's administration to resume discussions, although swift bipartisan agreement still seems unlikely. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says even through significant divisions between Democrats and Republicans, he is hopeful that lawmakers can work together to pass 4 key points of the package. The senator is calling to renew the extension of the $600 federal enhanced unemployment program and provide additional funding to protect renters, homeowners, local governments, and schools.
These things do cost dollars, and people say, well, what about the expense, the dollars, the deficit? Unfortunately, we only have 2 choices. We can underfund what's needed, and it will cost us more in the long run because COVID will still stay with us. And as long as COVID stays with us, the economy will not recover. Or we can spend the adequate, robust dollars now and end this crisis.
Now, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin argued the White House proposed a one-week $600 unemployment benefit extension as negotiations continued, but he said Democrats ruffled that offer. The benefits previously expired last Friday. Coming up, an important recall for those who recently bought frozen taquitos. And later, the warning the Jamestown's Board of Education has for its customers. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
When you're on the go, stay in the know by downloading the WNY News Now mobile app. Stay up to date on local news, weather, and sports that matter to you. Plus, subscribe to breaking news and weather alerts from the team that puts coverage first. In addition, watch news as it happens with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network. Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has put out a health alert for frozen taquitos and chimichangas that may contain plastic. The items could pose a choking hazard. Multiple types of beef and chicken taquitos and chimichangas are included in this alert. It covers ready-to-eat products containing diced green chilies recalled by the producer Sun Valley Foods. Now, the USDA notice listed select products shipped nationwide under Jose's, El Casa, and Walmart's Great Value brand. They were all made by a North American food company. The agency says not to consume the listed products, but to either throw them away or return them for a refund. Now, there haven't yet been any confirmed reports of health issues related to people eating the food. Meanwhile, the Jamestown Board of Public Utilities are warning its customers of recently reported phone scams. In the first scam, BPU officials say someone calls offering the customers rebates, and in order to get those, the customer must supply personal and bank information. Now, in a second scam, the callers say they are from the electric company in Jamestown and offer 30% off rates. The company says neither of these scams are legitimate, and calls and customers are warned to not give out their personal information over the telephone. Well, it's the start of a new month, but with an old problem, as most states are seeing a week-over-week rise in tests that are positive for COVID-19, a strong indicator of how rampant the virus is spreading in some parts of our country. And some officials fear the U.S. still doesn't have a grasp on the pandemic. Our John Lawrence explains.
There are more than 4.6 million known coronavirus infections in the U.S., according to Johns Hopkins University. That accounts for more than a quarter of the cases worldwide.
We are constantly having to remind people that they may be tired of the virus, but the virus is certainly not tired of us.
Not only is the virus not tired of the U.S.,
we are in a new phase.
Dr. Deborah Birx with the White House's Coronavirus Task Force says COVID-19 is more widespread now compared to earlier this year.
No matter where you live in America, you need to wear a mask and socially distance, do the personal hygiene pieces.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's new forecast predicts nearly 20,000 more COVID-related deaths by August 22nd. That breaks down to close to 1,000 deaths per day between now and then.
We haven't controlled this virus in a serious way We're seeing rises in a lot of states, and now we're talking about reopening schools and colleges in the midst of that, which I think is just going to compound our problem significantly.
And some health experts say stay-at-home restrictions may be necessary.
More serious measures need to be taken in order to flatten the curve, to bring back a phrase that we used widely months ago, but don't use so much now.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. More than 18 million people are confirmed to have been infected with the coronavirus globally, that according to Johns Hopkins University. Well, their 92% water can weigh more than 200 pounds and were bred for sweetness. They're watermelons, of course, and today is dedicated to this juicy and perfect summer snack. Watermelons originated from South Africa. Most melons were originally bitter, but growers cultivated them to create more flavor. Now, despite their name, watermelons aren't scientifically classified as the same category as other melons. Instead, they share some characteristic with gourds, of all things. Either way, a delicious treat for a hot summer day. Hopefully everybody is having a good day, and we thank you so much for joining us here for WNY News Now. Good to see Joanna, who chimes in yummy. Absolutely. I love watermelon, and a lot of people don't for some reason. They say that there really isn't any flavor. They don't like the juiciness. But anytime that I feel like I'm thirsty, watermelon's the snack I'm always looking for. Good to see Scott, Lakeith, Max, Anna, Heather, and Pam as well. Good afternoon to David. Always great to see all of you on the broadcast. We appreciate you so very much. Let's get a check of our first defense weather forecast now, and we'll look at the live camera over downtown Jamestown. And really, the last couple of days have been really good looking out there, minus some rain over the weekend. I don't know about all of you, but we were kind of poking fun a little bit at our weather staff on Saturday, and we love them. They do such a good job. But we were forecasted to have such a nice day, and then we had these unexpected downpours. But I think either way, Dakota, the weather people always get the short end of the stick, because it's not a perfect science. It really isn't.
No, it's not. And, the problem we have in this business, and it's something we say a lot in the newsroom, is we are basically in a business where we can be wrong. I mean, Justin and you guys in the newsroom, you guys have it easy because, you guys have the facts that are in front of you and you can write the story and whatnot, and very rarely I guess they could be, but very rarely in journalism can, journalists be wrong on a story or whatever.
Right.
But, we have it tough where we're basically in the only business where we can essentially be wrong not really all the time, but be wrong sometimes. There's a live look coming from the DoubleTree Hotel for you. And so, Jay, there you go.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, Dakota, the facts do change, which has happened with coronavirus. It's been crazy how quickly they can go from one thing to another as we learn new information. And when it comes to weather forecasting, I imagine that's really what plays into inaccuracy, is that the data will change so quickly, or a front will start going this way. And that's when we get things like rain on Saturday.
Yeah, so it happens. You can't win them all. But, talking about Isaias, this is something I teased during the first weather segment. Now, please understand, any impacts locally is going to be minute. We put it in bold text, we underlined it, capitalized it, everything, for you to understand that there might be some talk about, stuff about Isaias over here. Very minimal impacts, but there is a chance, depending on the exact track Isaias takes along the East Coast, we may see a little bit of tropical moisture drawn in late Tuesday going into Wednesday. Not a guarantee, but we'll see on that. And obviously, the further east you go into central New York, you'll see more of the cloudiness and obviously more of the heavier rain. And most of the rain over the next couple of days is going to be coming from a disturbance that is to our northwest in the upper Great Lakes. Here's Isaias right now churning off the east coast of Florida. It's still a strong tropical storm with a 70-mile-per-hour winds. The National Hurricane Center is expecting to upgrade this back to a hurricane sometime today. And so again, you can see that circulation right there. Now, the forecast track from the NHC has it riding along the east coast, likely making making a second landfall somewhere between South Carolina and North Carolina. But our main concern is going to be as it rides along the New York East Coast. You can see, again, same thing we told you on Friday, don't focus on the center line. The cone is basically the cone of uncertainty where the center of the storm could jog. But again, impacts can be felt several hundred miles out from the storm center. So as this rides along the East Coast, there's going to be some tropical moisture being drawn in here. So that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on as we go into tomorrow and Wednesday. But the overall chance is going to be very small for at least some tropical moisture being drawn into at least some of that storm system. 72 right now as a noon hour, south wind of 8, dew point up 62 just a little bit, but the dew point relatively low, but again, you're going to be feeling a little bit of moisture as you walk outside. Radar is dry right now across much of western New York. This is the system we told you about that's going to be moving through over the next couple of days, so showers and thunderstorms from that little system in the upper Great Lakes. So here's Future Scan for you. Paints the idea of a few scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. No severe weather expected. That is the good news. That'll continue ultimately throughout the night tonight, and then tomorrow will likely start dry with scattered showers and maybe a few rumbles. Chance of that is going to be relatively small once again for tomorrow, and then the showers and thunderstorms will continue as we go into the middle part of the week. And don't get used to the cooler air. It looks like the heat is going to be rebuilding once again. This is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. You can see that red area there, so it looks like more heat and humidity is on the way. How about the future? Next 7 days are coming up right now. 75 tomorrow, 72 on Wednesday. Yes, look at the overnight low, 50. Wouldn't be a bit surprised if some of the valleys wind up in the upper 40s on Thursday morning. Lots of sunshine on Thursday, 77. Just a small chance for an isolated storm on Friday. And then the heat returns as we go into the weekend. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Want weather now? Download the WNY News Now mobile app and stay up to date on severe weather alerts. Plus, anytime hazardous weather strikes, stick with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network that keeps you safe. You're all in a tornado warning, so now is the time to go to a safe place, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. What are you waiting for? Download the WNY News Now mobile app today. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back. Here's a new thing to look at when scrolling through Facebook. The social media network says it's beefing up its platform by adding music videos. The site says it will begin rolling out official music videos here in the U.S. this coming weekend. Facebook is partnering with Sony Music, Universal Music Group, Warner Music Group, and others to make it happen. The videos will feature well-known artists like Bob Marley, Elton John, Nicki Minaj, and Blake Shelton. Facebook also has plans to offer exclusive music videos as well as premieres. It says the new content will be available under a new music selection in Facebook Watch. Meanwhile, a new study indicates that social media isn't the best place to get your news. An analysis of survey by Pew Research Center from October 2019 to June 2020 found that U.S. adults who rely on social media for news tend to follow major stories less than other news consumers. Take one of the biggest stories of the year, the coronavirus. 23% of U.S. adults who mainly get news from social media say they're following the pandemic very closely. That grows to about 50% for cable TV and national TV news watchers. The other major story this year is the 2020 election. Only 8% of U.S. adults who get political news from social media say they are following the story very closely. That's 37% from cable TV watchers and 33% from those who still subscribe to print. The survey also found that those who get their political news from social media are less concerned about the impact of made-up news. Certainly, we appreciate you to get your news from us, and I think one of the biggest challenges for social media, and the way we've overcome this, is by developing the WNY News Now mobile app to give consumers direct local news, is that sometimes stories don't trend that well on social media. We see that certain crime stories and accidents are actually some of the biggest trending things in addition to fires and EMS responses compared to, say, local government. That doesn't trend very well on social media. So certainly we recommend downloading our mobile app and staying up to date with push notifications, because that app does not discriminate against the type of content out there, unlike Facebook. And it really all comes back to algorithms, and not to bore anybody too much with it, but if people don't share and the information that's out there, then it doesn't really go anywhere. Facebook will natively promote it if it's trending, and that's a hard thing to do. And certainly the one big thing, Dakota, that whether you're in the weather industry, the news industry, the sports industry, information altogether, is when it comes to fact finders, we talk about this all the time in the newsroom. Our job isn't to make something trend, but rather to talk about it and give information accurately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've heard from a lot of people who say that they don't even watch the news anymore because of all the COVID-19 stuff, and it's like, the media, we don't really have a say as to what's the news. It is the news, and it's our job to kind of report it, or not really my job, it's Justin's job to kind of report it.
Yeah, but you're right. It goes back to what are officials talking about, right? And what is something that's happening in the community. And I think that the beautiful thing with Western New York and in our area is that there isn't so much of that fake local news that you would see in other larger cities, where there are websites that are set up to misguide people. So you have to be a good news consumer, whether you're on social media or subscribing to a newspaper or watching it on TV or watching it on our site or our app. We want people to be skeptical and to say, what's the source here? Who did they talk to?
Right.
And that helps understand it. And unfortunately, a lot of things are so politicized nowadays that if you do watch network news, for example, you can watch 3 different stations and hear 3 different stories. That's crazy.
Yeah. And, that's just kind of the way the national media is. And, that's just, but, it's the same thing, I talk about this all the time to people. We just recommend, please, or at least us on the weather staff, please do not get your weather information from Uncle Joe's Tot Locker and weather page on Facebook. 62 to 67 tonight, a few showers and thunderstorms, but it will be a milder and muggy night tonight. Winds light, but we cool it down later in the week, and then more heat builds for the weekend. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you. Checking in with the comments one last time. Good to see Karen and Beth joining us. Thank you so much for being here. Joe says, the best place for news is WNY News Now. That is so kind of you, Joe. Thank you very much. And he says, best weather is definitely Dakota. I got to tell you, Dakota and Angie, you guys work very hard, and we really, really appreciate you and all that you do. That's going to do it for us today. Of course, news does continue 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. All you got to do is search WNY News Now in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. We're back tomorrow live at noon. Hope to see you then.